We saw a little hiccup a few days back. American comes out, it changes its guidance, the industry reacts, share prices go down. You're very quick to come out and reconfirm your guidance on the back of that. But are you seeing any indication that the consumer is softening at the moment?
You know, it's demand for us is steady as she goes. In a way, kind of boring. After the last couple of years, I think boring is good, but it's not getting a lot stronger, but not getting weaker. It really is pretty steady.
And what changes that? Does anything change that? Does the fact that the labor market maybe started to show a few little cracks, the fact that maybe rates stay higher for longer, do any of these factors impact that strong consumer that we're seeing in the US?
It could, but we spent the last 2 years talking about the risk of recession, and the consumer just keeps plowing ahead and keeps going. And so I think that's likely going to continue. The bigger thing, the more likely change for aviation, I think, is on the supply side. We're at a peak where the number of seats is growing a whole lot faster than the demand in the United States. But as we move into the third and fourth quarter, those numbers are scheduled to come back down a lot. So I think the supply balance will counteract, even if there was some demand.
Where are those seats coming through? Is it with you guys at the upper end, the full service carriers? I'm assuming
it's really across the board.
Right.
Southwest is probably the biggest grower of seats, but it really is across the board. We're growing, others are growing, kind of across the board. Just the peak. This is a lot of still recovery from COVID, and this was the time that people were getting all their ability to grow back in place. So second quarter's peak.
I can see that capacity in some ways making sense at your end of the market. Does it make sense at the bottom end of the market? Do you think all of those low-cost carriers survive?
No, it doesn't make sense. And we do the route P&Ls really accurately for everyone. And everyone that has margins lower than us has a big chunk of their route network that loses money. The low-cost and ultra-low-cost carriers in particular lose an awful lot of money. It's a fatally flawed business model.
So some of them are going to go?
I think that they're going to struggle to survive.
Okay, that's about as far as I think I'm going to get you to say that. Just back to the American issue, they pushed the corporate market very hard. Did you benefit from that?
There's probably a small benefit in market share, though we watched the data pretty closely. And while we got a little bit of market share from them, we thought that they were making up close to 100% of their revenue change in terms of distribution expenses. And so I think it's gotten a lot of press, but we certainly thought it was a marginal issue, both for them and for us.
You talk about the supply side. The industry, though, is supply constrained right now. You got an issue with the Pratt & Whitney engines that are going on 320s. You've obviously got the issues with the MAX and the wider Boeing issues right now. Is your sense that we are past the worst of that? There's worse still to come? Kind of just give us a status update.
Yeah, I think we are past the worst. I think we've acknowledged the problems by and large. You talked about two of the big manufacturers that are issues, Pratt and Boeing. I think that we're probably moving up from here. It's not going to be overnight. They're not going to get back to 100%, quickly. But that's okay. Particularly when I talk to Boeing, I'm not worried about the next 12 to 18 months. I want to get the structural, and they want to also, and then get them back to delivering high quality, delivering on time, delivering on schedule, and that's the path that's most important.
Tim Clark told me he thought that would be 5 years at Boeing.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a realistic number?
I think it'll be faster than 5 years, but it depends on them really making the kinds of cultural changes that they need to make. But if they make the cultural changes, I think Boeing gets fixed or gets their mojo back quicker. If they don't make cultural changes, they're not going to get their mojo back.
If you were to give advice to the chair on what kind of a person needs to sit in that seat as CEO, what kind of advice would you give?
So, what I hope they do is somebody that focuses on the culture at Boeing and letting the 140,000, Boeing has 140,000 great people, engineers, mechanics, let them go build, design great products, build great technology, and focus on that and not focus on the short-term financials. I think that's the biggest issue. Focus on the upfront, build great airplanes, great products, and the financials will take care of themselves. Don't try to manage the back end, manage it up front.
Start from there. Stay with the FAA. You've been under review by the FAA. Any indication kind of how long that process is going to last? Where are we?
Yeah, everything in that process has gone well so far. No major findings. I think the FAA would tell you. I know the FAA would tell you the same thing if they answered the question. We feel good. We think we've taken this as an opportunity really, we had a great safety foundation, but we did have a number of events that happened. But take that as an opportunity to make not just safety number one, but top of mind awareness all the time. And for the rest of my career, for example, every time I talk to employees, I'm going to talk about keeping safety top of mind. We've all believed it's number one in aviation, but keeping it top of mind when everything is going great, still focus on that, all the little things, because all the little things matter.
What do you want to see from the next administration? What do you want to see from the next incumbent at the White House? What helps this industry? What helps America?
Well, it's more about help America and help the world. I think the United States is I think it's the greatest country in the history of the planet. But what makes us great is positivity, optimism, vision for the future. And I want us to get back to being positive, being optimistic, looking to the future, and how do we make things better, and focusing on that. And I think we need that in the United States. I think people would respond positively to that. The world needs it. And we can make the country and the world a better place.
You are by far and away the most international of the U.S. major carriers. Yeah. Do you think a Trump administration makes your job harder being an international carrier? Do you think we're going to see more fragmentation? I guess is the question that I'm really asking.
I don't think it really affects demand or our ability to fly around the world in any measurable way, one way or another.